from the previous review of this particular motorcycle, you know how I feel about the Goldwing. It's the king of the road and the sales numbers prove it. So what could possibly be better than a Honda Goldwing? A Honda Goldwing with this gorgeous two-seater sidecar so you can share the fun. This is my company vehicle, Pegasus Sidecar Tours. If you're ever in San Diego, hit me up and let me take you on a private narrated tour of this gorgeous city. But when you put a sidecar on a bike like this, you really lose some of the main best aspects of the bike and its performance. So I really missed the Goldwing so much that I had to get a new one. What's better than a Goldwing with a sidecar? This beautiful Goldwing in this gorgeous illusion blue color. I am clearly a fan, and I think you being here, so are you. Stay tuned to find out exactly what some of the main problems, the most common issues with these 5th generation's Goldwings were. It's one of the best bikes you could buy used, so stay tuned to find out how to choose the proper Goldwing in this generation. Greetings riders, Nick here with Pegasus Motorcycle Tours and Consulting, bringing you, I think it's going to be a very helpful conversation about how to choose your next Goldwing, in particular this 5th generation of Goldwings. I'm going to talk about in this review about some of the most common problems that these bikes are known for and what to watch out for when you go choose your next Goldwing. I already did a review of how to properly choose a motorcycle on the used market, how to evaluate it, how to look for the proper documentation and fill it out. So I urge you to look at that if you're in the market for a used motorcycle from a private seller. That video is full of really useful information of how to evaluate the condition of that motorcycle and how to know that you're getting the best deal for your money. This review is specific to the 5th generation of Goldwings. The 5th generation is basically from 2001 to I believe 2017. That's divided between 2 sub-generations of the 5th generation, namely where they were produced, because from 2001 to 2010, these Goldwings were made by American workers in Ohio. And from 2000, I believe 12 or 13 on, they were a little bit different and they were produced in Japan. They differ basically in the looks. The rear end is a little different. It's a little sharper. It's a little more modern looking, angular. I like that look better, to be honest, but the front is almost exactly the same. The main difference besides the looks was that in 2006, the Goldwing did come with the optional airbag system. So that's another Goldwing first. And in the M1 1975 Goldwing that was released in the United States, that was also a revolutionary bike in the sense that it was one of the first shaft-driven motorcycles on the market. So Goldwings always keep pushing the boundaries. You got to respect that in the bike. I love owning it, and I've been looking for this incredibly beautiful illusion blue color that kind of changes its appearance in the daylight, in the street light, in the sunlight, in the moonlight. It's amazing. It's just a beautiful color to behold. Original owner, I picked it up not that long ago. I really missed how the Goldwing rides without the sidecar, and when I saw it, I absolutely had to have it, and I love it. I remember how much I loved it, and it just brings back that same emotion every time I get on the bike. It's my favorite motorcycle of all time, and I stand by it. It's one of the best motorcycles to buy on the used market for the following reasons. For one, it was a very expensive motorcycle. It still is, you know, upwards of $25,000, $30,000. If you don't have that money to buy new, buy it used. You save so much money. Just to take the bike off the lot new, it already depreciates $5,000, $6,000 right off the bat. So you benefit from that first initial hit that the owner will take when they take the motorcycle from the lot. Number 2, these bikes are typically really well taken care of because they appeal to older, more mature riders with the disposable income that enable them to maintain the bike properly, to take it to the Honda dealer for all its maintenance. It's a bigger bike. It's harder to work on in that regard. It's more cumbersome, so a lot of people don't feel comfortable working on their own motorcycle in the garage of this size. Needless to say, it's not cheap to have the dealer work on your bike, but with a generous 36-month warranty, I believe it still is, the Honda brand takes care of their customers. So, and that warranty also can go on to the next owner. So that's something you can keep in mind if you're buying a newer Goldwing in the used market, and you can always opt on to pay for the extended warranty. You're typically going to have all the paperwork from the original owner or the trail of paperwork when you look at a Goldwing, you know that it's been taken care of when you actually have all the receipts and all the maintenance work recorded already and in hand. As long as the title clears and the bike looks clean and rides like it should, you can rest assured you probably got a great bike on your hands. These are not bikes that people learn on. These are not bikes that people beat on when they're just getting into motorcycling, like a lot of the cheaper sport motorcycles out there. If the bike looks solid and rides like it should when you test it, and especially if you like the owner that you meet, which is another huge benefit of buying used from a private party. You actually get to shake hands with the original owner. You see how they've kept the motorcycle. You kind of get a feel for the man or the woman, and that tells you a lot. And I've made so many good friends, out of the people that I've sold motorcycles to. You've met some of them in my videos. Gene, for example, who bought my Suzuki DR, is going on a world trip with that motorcycle. He also happens to be a great fisherman, so he brought me 2 lobster tails last night for dinner. Love that. The other motorcycle, our latest review of the BMW Sertão, I sold that to a gentleman who's taking it down to Patagonia with his wife. So we're now friends, we get these great connections around the world. So that's another benefit. I love buying used. 3, they're just gorgeous, well-engineered motorcycles that are really, really great to own for people who like to have their bikes for a long time. Unlike sport bikes that change hands often and are usually starter motorcycles for beginner riders, the Goldwing is not something people typically begin with. So this is a bike that's mostly in the hands of mature riders who can appreciate all the magnificence and the engineering of this motorcycle. A 4th reason to buy used is that you get to benefit from all the aftermarket and Farcolds and all the other parts that are added to this bike by the original owner that you don't have to worry about. As you might be aware, any of the aftermarket parts that are added to the motorcycle do not translate their value well after sale. So if you invested, let's say, $5,000 into something, typically you're going to see about $1,000 of return on investment for all those parts if you try to sell the motorcycle. So the buyer will definitely benefit out of the original seller's investment for aftermarket parts. The Goldwing has one of the largest market of aftermarket parts and accessories, from all the chrome details to different navigation to audio, etc. So just keep that in mind. It's another benefit to buy used. There's one main problem that you need to really watch out for when you're getting a 2002 or a 2003 Goldwing. There's a specific range of VIN numbers that were affected in a recall of the frame. The frame can crack. It creates a frack down under by the center stand. Get down on your knees, examine it, see if you see a very obvious crack in the weld. The welds were done poorly on some of these bikes. Again, the VIN number ranges are included in the description of this video, so take a look at that and see if the bike that you want to buy is included in that range, so that you can ask that owner, has that recall been done? Honda will do that recall no matter who the owner is, no matter what time. It's a lifelong recall, so it's not a deal breaker if it hasn't been done. They'll take care of you. Just keep that in mind. Something to watch out for. So that's the main issue with this bike. The other really, really common problem, which you should definitely look out for, is that the switches can stick. I had my starter switch, which is also the reverse button, stick. And because I have halogen lights installed on my Goldwing, which I do not recommend, those lights were directly related to that switch. And when I took it to the mechanic who was installing the sidecar, he could not get the lights to work. So it took him hours and hours to try to diagnose. He never figured it out. To this day, all the problem was that the switch just needed to be manually pulled out a little more. It ended up costing me over $500, so keep that in mind. I would honestly shy away from bikes that have had a lot of work done in the electrical department, especially a lot of additional Farcolds and a lot of these aftermarket parts that were installed shoddily. Electrical is so hard to diagnose, and it's really expensive on this bike. You have to take a lot of plastics off. There's miles and miles of wiring on the bike, and it's not easy to work on in that regard. So keep that in mind. Stay away from anything with extra lights and extra electrical components is what I would suggest. This yellow Goldwing still has that problem. The halogen lights also turn on kind of late. They take a while to kind of warm up. So if you want to use it as a passing light, you really can't, because it's not going to function like that. It needs at least a minute or two to kind of get up to its level. But then it's really, really bright and beautiful. I don't mind the original lights on the Goldwing at all. Another problem that I had was that this manually adjustable windscreen on the yellow Goldwings is stuck in the upper position. So you basically have to pull up these levers, pull the windscreen up, and then lock them down. If you want to take it down, you have to pull it up and then slide it back down. I thought it was a simple issue, so I took this front piece off. I thought I could resolve it in half an hour. Not the case at all. I couldn't figure it out. I don't know where it's stuck. I can't see where it's biting. Doesn't matter. I keep it in the upper position because it's better for the passengers. Again, I use this bike for my tours, and you know, with the GoPro on the helmet, it prevents some of that buffeting. So I just keep it the way it is, but that's another thing to watch out for. I also had issues with the cases not locking, not closing properly. You know when they lock, if you walk away from the bike and you try to lock it with the fob, if your bike has it, the fob will not allow the bike to be locked, indicative by the continuously flashing lights instead of just a single time that it shows you that it's locked. If you don't have the fob, it also tells you if you're about to take off on the screen that either of the side is open or the top case, so it's really useful. It's an easy fix. Basically, there are two brackets that get kind of clamped down by the sensor that tells it it's closed and locked, and those brackets get loose. It's just two screws that they're holding tight, so just make sure you periodically screw that down. This bike doesn't really rattle or anything, so you don't have to worry about other bolts, you know, coming out loose and all that. Other than that, I really haven't had any issues with that. On my yellow Goldwing, the radio doesn't work as it should, and the CV radio and all that, but all that's superfluous to me. I don't listen to music when I'm riding anyways. So if it's important to you, by all means take a look, because again, if something electrical doesn't work, it usually leads to another problem that's really, really difficult and expensive to diagnose. So amazing motorcycle for the used market. If you're looking for one, feel free to get in touch. Let me know if I can help you somehow. We offer that service for local buyers here in San Diego. We go out with you and we look at the bike. We make sure you get the best possible deal for a nominal percentage fee off of the sale price. So if you're not comfortable choosing your next bike, let me know. I'll be happy to come out with you and do it. If you think the bike has been kept outside, it's fairly obvious to tell because there'll be a lot of weathering and fading on the plastics. All the chrome parts are actually plastic. They can be cleaned, but it's really very time-consuming and laborious. All the plastics are really expensive. The paint, again, is very expensive. So if this is something that you think you're going to need to fix, keep that in mind when negotiating the price, because you know it gives you some bargaining power. Other than that, I've really had zero other issues with this motorcycle. Keep in mind that also changing the tires is not always going to be easy for some shops because the valve is curved. It's like an L shaped, and not all shops really know how to deal with that. So call ahead, say I got a Goldwing with the L-shaped valves, make sure they know how to do that. So amazing motorcycle. I'm clearly a fan, and you being here, you are as well. Pull the trigger. Just make sure you ask these questions. If you meet the owner and you're happy with who's selling it to you, you know who the person kind of is just by talking to that man or woman. And especially if you have a booklet of receipts like I do for this bike from the original owner, including the original receipt from 2002 when it was purchased in Texas. It tells you everything. You know, it tells you who the person is, how they took care of it, and you know, going for a test ride is not going to be a surprise. But what could be better than an Illusion Blue Goldwing from the 5th generation? The 1st generation blue, 1979. I just picked this bike up this morning. My good friend Joe behind the camera, also an avid lifelong rider, he helped me pick this bike up. It does run, but it needs everything. It needs brakes, carb job, suspension work, tire work, and who knows what else. But it also, from the original owner, the guy loved it so much, he bought it new. Old age forced him to stop riding. It's been sitting in his garage since 1993. It's this gorgeous blue. I'm gonna keep it the way it is. I just love the stock look of it. I even have the windjammer fairing for the front, but I'm not gonna put it on. I think I just love the way it looks this way. These beautiful chrome parts that were also need some polishing, need some work, especially the mud guards and whatnot. But this is also a rare piece. Up front you have this gorgeous 3-panel dash and this faux leather enclosure here for the storage for the airbox. But it actually runs, not like it needs to, but I'm hoping you can tell it's not quite where it needs to be. I have the time now with the little kid and some space in the garage to devote to this motorcycle to get it back on the road where it rightfully belongs. So I need your help. I'm hoping you stick around because I desperately need your help. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm gonna buy the book and I'm gonna look at YouTube, and it's really amazing that YouTube has this wonderful tendency to congregate people that are like-minded, that are eager to help. I'm always grateful for you and your constructive criticism. of the videos that I post and your supportive comments. This channel has been exploding and really growing thanks to you, and I've been learning so much, so I really thank you. And I'm hoping you stick around and help me make this bike come to life again, because it really deserves to be on the road. Again, if you're ever in San Diego when this thing clears, I'll be happy to show you around. In the meantime, ride safe. Until next time, Nick, I'm out.